Welcome to the Wisdom to Wealth podcast. This is the podcast where I interview the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world. I am your host, Shamar Star Cox, TV producer and marketing coach. My goal is to help 6 and 7 figure business owners create binge worthy content that increases their influence, their income, and their impact. I am also the founder of the Convert Content to Cash Challenge. So, if you are a business owner, you want to know how to create content that sells, you want to know how to create content that creates deep connections with your audience so that now you're growing your tribe and your tribe is paying for your services. Feel free to DM me the word challenge accepted on Instagram, TikTok, or LinkedIn, and I will personally send you an invite to the challenge. Today, we have John Doolin with us. He is a seasoned strategy leader with over 20 years of experience in leadership, logistics, and operations management. As a founder of Doolin Strategy Partners, John provides personalized business advising, recruiting, training, and leadership development services tailored to the unique visions and goals of his client. His leadership philosophy centers on adaptability, problem solving, and driving meaningful results. John, I just said a whole bunch of words. Tell us what all of that means.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me. Really blessed to be here. So here's what it means basically is I'm industry agnostic. So it doesn't matter whether I'm working with construction, working in engineering, working in logistics, retail, it doesn't matter. What I do is I help business leaders see the vision, see the path forward, and then come up with a real path forward tied to actual results and not the fluff.
I love that. So it's like it doesn't matter what industry. You're the person who can see what's missing and piece all the pieces together. It sounds like you're doing a puzzle. I love that because I love puzzles.
Sometimes that's exactly what it is. And there are times where I sit down with a business leader or their leadership team to understand what they want to achieve. Then I meet with their people and I find out that there's a disconnect and I help them find the real problem that's holding them back.
Oh, I love that. So talk us through how did you get here? Like from where you started, talk us through your journey from zero to wealth.
Good question. So I have just recently, I think July of last year, become completely self-funded. And what that looks like is I had corporate jobs for more than 25 years, and in 2021 I decided I think this can go somewhere else. I think I can use my experience to help other people, and I always had a goal of I wanted to retire at 50, but that meant something different for me. Retirement means do what I want to do when I want to do it and how I want to do it. It doesn't mean sit on a beach somewhere, but it doesn't not mean that. And so, yeah, in 2021, I just started moving towards that vision. And I had some great business partners who gave me the opportunities to build my own side hustle into my mainstream source of income. And it wasn't easy. I will tell you that along the way, I've gained clients, I've lost clients, and I have really shaped this from for a while. I was focusing very specifically on the final mile logistics, big and bulky. These are the guys that are bringing your couches and your refrigerators to your house after you've bought them in a store. And it took just a couple really opportunities of hard work or luck, as some people will see it, where I was able to venture out into other industries. And I realized my platform is very flexible, and I can adapt in any environment.
I love that. And I love that you talked about, it wasn't easy, right? There were some difficult times. When you were experiencing difficult times, such as loss of clients or even anything with life happening to you, how are you able to navigate any negative self-talk or any negative thoughts so that you can keep focused to build your business?
This will probably seem a little superficial to some people, but the honest answer to that is the random nuggets of feedback. And so I started sharing just my thoughts every single day. I started on LinkedIn, then it spread to Facebook and Instagram, and I've dabbled a little bit in Twitter or X, whatever you call it. I'm not real successful out there. The LinkedIn is really what took off, and then from there, about 2 years ago, I started a daily email blog, and that is it goes out to a couple hundred paid subscribers a day. In addition, the people can subscribe for free to a lot of my content as well. And what really kept me going was the random pieces of feedback from people where I would get a note or a DM, or I would be out in the community and somebody would say, I think I know who you are. Thank you. I appreciate your content. Um, and that's what really kept me going. That's what helped get me over the hump to say, if one person reads what I wrote today and they decide to keep going, that matters to me.
That's impact. That is totally impact, right? And
Mhm.
I love, I'm a Christian. Did you tell me you were a Christian or did I make
Yes,
that
ma'am.
up? Yes. Okay. I love when God just drops those nuggets along the way to remind you, nope, keep going, keep going. A lot of us, we start our businesses because we want to make an impact. We want to be able to help people. We want to create generational wealth. And when we start to see what that impact looks like, it is people messaging us and reaching out to us and saying, this really blessed me today. So I love that that was something that helped to keep you going. That's so powerful. So talk us through how you help your clients. Like, what are three things that you usually teach or do with your clients that really helps them to build their business?
So there's a couple pillars that I operate by. Integrity is one of them. Continuing education is another one, and consistency is the third one. And those are the three things I try to pride myself in. Is every single day at 4 a.m. my email goes out. At 5 a.m. it hits social media, and that consistency is what draws people to me. Because and I just 2 days ago I had somebody say, I get up at 4:15 every morning, and because I listen to you, I subscribe to you on Substack. I can listen to your message while I'm getting ready for work in the morning, and that's so number one, that consistency, and then having the integrity in the message. And a big part of this is a friend of mine has taught me a lot more about what integrity really means, and the integrity to the messages. I'm never going to sell out to what you think I should do because you think I can make some money pushing a message. That's not who I am. My message is my message, and that integrity that I have to myself is what I think helps pull people in. And really, I'm serving as that role model for them. And one of the things I have to keep telling my clients is, I am not perfect. I make mistakes. I don't work out as often as I should. I don't eat as healthy as I should. And sometimes I have lapses of judgment where I trust somebody I shouldn't have trusted. And so those are normal human things that happen. And it's okay for that to happen to you as well, because a lot of what I deal with at the levels I'm working with are executives, CEOs, founders, owners, and they're struggling with imposter syndrome where they never feel like what they're doing is good enough. And even though they've built these really successful businesses, um, the majority of the clients I work with have more than 20 or 30 million dollars in revenue. And so these are some really good, healthy companies, but yet the executives are still saying, I just don't know if I'm making the right decision. And so helping them realize that it's okay if you make a wrong decision, own it, learn from it, move on.
I really love that you share these tips. Like you started with the integrity piece. Now, I'm someone who's very big on integrity. Like I don't even want you in my circle if you're not someone who has integrity. So I love that you started with that. And for me, when I think about integrity, I think about what I'm doing in private, what I'm doing in public, I'm also doing in private, right? So I
Mhm.
want to make sure that I'm always in alignment with myself. I'm not going to say one thing and do another. That bothers me a lot. And so, because I live that way, I do want people around me who are like that as well. So, I love that you talked about integrity. I love that you talked about consistency, really being able to keep going no matter what's happening, whether life is lifing or people are peopling. You still want to be consistent so that you can build this strong business and really just be true to who you are. And then, my favorite part is the leaders who are experiencing imposter syndrome, that right there and that message I feel can really um, resonate across all platforms. Doesn't matter what level you are at. How do you help your clients to be able to push past the imposter syndrome? Like, I know you talked about sharing your journey and letting them know we're human, right? But how do you help them to, oh, I don't want to say overcome, because I feel like it comes in droves. So like really push past or navigate this imposter syndrome mindset.
Yeah, well, so that's a really good question. And the first thing I want to do is say, or plug my training platform. It's getdoolin.com. And you'll find a series of classes out there. Some of them are free, some of them you have to subscribe. But my pricing is less than a gym membership. And so the way I see it is it's the gym membership for your brain. So most of my classes were always taught in person, and we would literally walk through these seminar type classes where I would lay out examples and we would talk through it. Um, a big piece of this really is letting people understand what is imposter syndrome, what is having a toxic culture, what is having that frame of mind where you're just full of self doubt. And once you understand it and know that it's a spectrum and everybody has a piece of it, there's not a person in the world. I don't care, if it's Joe Rogan or any of these, shock jock, hyper excited guys. They have imposter syndrome. They have self doubt. And really, I think that's what drives them is they have those moments, where they hit that wall and they say, "Oh gosh, can I really do this?" And then they say, "Heck yeah, I can." And I worked for a guy one time who said, um, and I don't cuss publicly, so I'll put you at ease there. But he said to me one day, "You're John M. F. Doolin. Get out there and get it done." And I thought, he's right. And it's like we got to say that to ourselves. And one of the other things, from an integrity perspective, I just want to plug this real quick because this came up in a call that I had last week with somebody. I am who I say I am, and I think that's important. And you have a lot of, I think, a lot of people who are out there hustling towards that seven-figure lifestyle. Um, they're doing multiple things while they're hustling towards that. That's okay. Own that. Don't be afraid of it. I never once tried to play like I wasn't a logistics executive or a retail executive or a construction industry executive while I was building my side hustle. I always said, this is my day job. This pays my insurance. This is my dream. And the moment I reached, and I remember the moment I was sitting in my office across town when I signed the contract that closed the deal where I said, I can provide health insurance for my family. I can provide an income for my family. And I sat there and said, okay, now I've got to decide when I flip that switch and say, I'm no longer doing these things and this is where I'm doing 100%. So, anyway, I just want to put that out there.
I love that because you're making it okay for people who are still working a 9 to 5 and building up their business. Like I have some clients who are still working their 9 to 5, but they have guilt because it makes them feel like maybe they're not doing enough in their business. And that's the reason why their business isn't successful. But like use your 9 to 5 to fund your business, right? Like we're all going to be in different stages, but there's no shame in that. So I love that you shared that. And congratulations getting to that point that's like I can provide the healthcare and this and that. Like, oh, that is so amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that. And so I wanted to touch on, I had asked on Instagram. Yes, we have some people who are on Instagram. I had asked, do you have imposter syndrome and how do you navigate it? And Tamara says, yes, imposter syndrome held me back for a long time. Look at that. Okay. Oh, thanks, Chanel. I'm not really sure, Chanel, why the video's frozen on your end. You might have to go out and come back in. But I did want to touch on that imposter syndrome again, right? As that's something that's pretty big,
Mm-hmm.
that still, deals with people today. I remember I used to also experience imposter syndrome. I didn't know that's what it was called at the time, but I felt like a fraud. Like maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And there was two instances that happened for me. One, truly understanding the definition of imposter set me free from imposter syndrome, right? But I had a friend who said something like, only people who care, only people who are truthful are worried about being imposters. Because the
Mm-hmm.
ones who are trying to cheat you out of your money, they do not care. And they're
They
the actual
don't.
imposters, right? But the
Yeah.
people who like we have integrity, we're truthful, we really want to serve and help, we're the only ones who actually care about imposter syndrome, right? And so that set me free because it let me know, no, I really do know how to do this. I really am here to serve people. I am in alignment with who God has called me to be, so I can move forward confidently in this. And I hope that when others hear this too, that can help to set them free, because again, someone who is actually trying to cheat people out of their money, they do not care about being an imposter. That's exactly what they are. But if you're someone where you really do want to make an impact, you really do want to serve, you can set yourself free from this imposter syndrome. Did you want to add or amplify before I ask you another question?
Yeah, well, I want to take off on one thing that you said. The person that God is trying to help you be. And, this is something I think a lot of people struggle with. And for me, I've started to speak very openly about why I am where I am. And I am where I am because I prayed for a change. My life was good. I had a great job, great family, lived close to family. Everything was going well. Kids liked their school, but something was missing. I just wasn't hitting on all cylinders. And things started to get dangled in front of me where I said, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I want to do that. I'm not sure if that's right for me. And it took me finally saying, I've been praying for a change and I think this is the path I need to be on. And that was in 2017, the end of 2016, and I've been on this journey since then to where I am today, where I know that I am where I'm supposed to be, and I know that I'm impacting people, and I see it. I can tell, and I can sit back and say that person's achieving success because I made a decision back in 2016 to move my family across country. um, and so I think that's really, really critical, that you've got to pay attention to where God is trying to take you.
John, we about to have church up in here. I had to put this on the screen. I am where I am because I prayed for a change. That right there. And not only did you pray for a change, you took action when God gave you answer and direction, right? And there's a lot of us where, well, let me not include us in it because we took action. But there are a lot of people who they want a change. They're praying for the change. They're even fasting for the change, but they won't do the next step, which is take action. Like I remember for me, this is back in 2021. I was in a really dark place. I was on the floor crying to God and saying, Lord, like, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it because I cannot stay in the environment that I am in right now. Like, this is not working for me. And once I was done crying, I had a thought. And it was a reminder that my friend had sent me a video by Myron Golden. Are you familiar with Myron Golden? It's okay. He'll start popping up on your YouTube just because I said his
Yeah.
name. You know, our phones be listening to us. So there's some of you on out here on Instagram. I'm sure you're familiar with Myron Golden. So I went to watch the video, and the things that he was sharing really resonated with me. He said one thing that had me go, this is it. He said, if you don't like the environment that you are in, change your words, because what you're speaking is what has landed you here. So what you see is what you have spoken into existence. And I said, oh my goodness. That same day, I started following him. Maybe like the next day, he had a live video. He was promoting a book. I ended up purchasing his book. From there, he upsold me into his challenge for a VIP ticket, and I was nervous. The ticket at the time was $297. I hadn't worked in 18 months. I was like, I gotta keep my coins. And I remember praying to God, and I said, Lord, let me know if I should do this challenge. And I went to save the challenge in my cart, but Myron on his funnel has one click purchase. So like once you purchase one thing, if you click, it's just going to purchase the next thing. Honey, that thing purchased the VIP ticket, and I said, oh, and this was after I prayed to God. I said, oh, I guess this is where I'm supposed to be. Changed my entire life. But I could have been the scared Christian that just finished crying and telling God, whatever you tell me to do. Like, we really got to be ready when we pray the prayers, Lord, whatever you tell me to do, because it's going to come. It may come in that very instant, it may come the next day, right? Because I said to him, whatever you tell me to do, and he sent me this man right then and there. I prayed again, is this where I'm supposed to be? And I purchased that ticket right then and there. My life has completely changed. 1 year later, I built a 2 years ago, I built a 6-figure business from the strategies that he taught, but not just him. Like I had other powerful coaches that helped me to build a 6-figure business, and we're continuing to scale. But that part where you talked about, I prayed for a change. And then I looked for God's direction and he led me, and you weren't afraid to pick up and move. So let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you stay in alignment with your purpose and values while growing wealth and influence?
I really think my writing helps, and just being consistent to that. At the same time, every day I sit down. There was a time period where I would write weeks in advance, months in advance. Now, I'm not going to tell you I don't have an agenda. I don't have a list. I do. I've got a long list of topics I'm going to write about. But what I do now is at about 8 o'clock every night. The last thing I do before I go to bed is I go pick a topic, I write about it, and I blast that out. And, my wife said to me this morning, she's been journaling some things, very specific goals she wants to achieve, and journaling about them every day as kind of an accountability. And that's really what my writing is that it helps to refocus me, to bring me back to center, to say what's important and where's my heart? What am I being led to share? And that content goes out on my email, it goes out on social media. Now, social media gets an abbreviated version because people's attention spans are less there. And I think if somebody takes the time to go and subscribe to my newsletter, those are people that are really looking for the change, and they'll get it in multiple formats. They'll be able to listen to it, read it, whatever they want.
I love that. I love how you said your writing really helps to keep you in alignment, but you also said I have an agenda, right? Like there's a purpose. It
Mhm.
keeps me in alignment and it helps me to serve, right? And I think sometimes people don't understand that the gifts that God has given you allows you to serve people so that you can keep growing your influence, keep growing your income, keep growing your impact, because that's ultimately what we are here to do. So let's talk about those who are looking to work with you. How can they actually get access to you? How can they work with you? And I'm going to go ahead and drop the links in the chat so people can get access.
Perfect. Yeah. So anybody watching this, there's a very specific link where you can get a free 30-minute session with me. That gives us an opportunity to get to know each other a little bit, and for me to understand where you want to go. And I always make a very simple promise to everybody. I will work with you until I'm no longer the right person to work with you. And I do have mentors and coaches in my network that are my mentors or coaches that I will pass people on to say, hey, I think this is the right person. Um, and then, of course, my catchphrase on social media is I'm not hard to find. So I'm super out there. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I do have a Twitter, X, and the other one, TikTok account. I am really bad at posting there. I think I've got like 3 followers on combined on both of those. Um, but LinkedIn is really the place where I place a lot of my effort. And not, I'll be very honest, it's not because I have pulled a lot of clients from LinkedIn. In fact, my biggest clients are people that I've worked with in the past. They knew me, they knew my style, and then the rest of it's word of mouth. People who knew me through church, people who knew me through the community. So I follow any one of those links. They're direct to my calendar. So you get to pick the very next available time slot. And I actually give sessions 7 days a week, about 7:30 in the morning until about 9 o'clock at night. So there is no excuse for anybody. There's somewhere that you can find a slot on my calendar.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Both the links have been dropped in the chat on Instagram and for YouTube. It'll also be on the replay for those of you who are checking out the replay so that you can get access to John and see how he can help you, right? He does business advising. He really helps you to think high level, or he does a thinking high level and shows you how you can, strategize and implement that. So I just thank you so much for sharing that. And so I want to ask you this one more question, which
Mhm,
is, oh, you know what? We didn't talk about, I'm not even going to ask you this question. What we didn't talk about, right, was how you used to be a people pleaser
mhm.
and how you are able to turn that into someone who's a profit maker, right? That's actually the title of this show, From People Pleaser to Profit Maker. So talk us through that journey.
Yeah. So what I've labeled this because it became a class, and so it's called Getting to Real. And this is where I made a decision one day, and I worked for very high level executives, owned the company, the founders, and for too long it was whatever you needed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And one day I just decided I'm not doing that anymore. And and it was really an awakening for me where I said, they're paying for my brain and I'm not giving it to them. I'm giving them what they want to hear. And that right there was a turning point where the moment I spoke up, and the moment I said, I respect that. Here's a different idea. Here's another perspective. Have you considered this? Um, that changed. And there is really, it's a great feeling when you're in the room with owners and senior executives and they're chatting from a very confident perspective that they know exactly what the solution is. And that's why we're having the meeting, because they know the solution, the answer already, which is a little bit of sarcasm. And then I'll toss out an idea, and um, immediately the tone changes, and they say, "I didn't think about that. That's our solution right there. We should think about that. We should explore that." That's a cool feeling when you know that you had the courage just to say it. And the worst thing that could happen, you share your opinion in a room. The worst thing is people realize, oh, they have a voice. So that is, in my opinion, the worst thing. The best thing that could happen is they say, "Wow, that's the best idea I've heard all day. Let's explore that."
I love it. I love it. Talk us through the root of your people pleasing. Like, where did it come from? It doesn't have to be long. So I know we have 4 minutes
Mhm.
left, but where did it come from, and what was it? What was it anchored to?
To be very honest and direct, trauma. It was really tied to, always seeking other people's approval through childhood all the way on up, and coming from an environment of that wasn't ideal. Alcoholism, drug abuse, child abuse, you name it. When you grew up in the 70s and mid 80s, there was a different time period back then. And and unfortunately, I think there's still pockets of that still happening today. But when you are just trying to survive and you're just trying to get past that next bully, you sometimes will adopt that people pleasing mentality. And I had to decide that bully wasn't going to control me anymore, and I was going to speak up and speak out.
Love it. Oh, I mean, like you just touched on so many things. I love how you talked about the people pleasing came from a trauma in your childhood, right?
Mhm.
And it was survival mode. But then as you got older, you were able to see that and realize, I don't need to survive anymore. I need to thrive. And you were able to turn that people pleasing into something where now you're in thrival mode and you're a profit
Mhm.
maker because of it. So, what we experience in our childhood, our trauma, our pain, it doesn't have to be shame. Like it really could be the thing that we use to drive our business, to drive our purpose, so that God can use us to make an impact in other people's lives. I really love that you shared that. Did you want to share anything else before we wrap up?
I would just encourage people to check out the training platform. If you go to getdoolin.com, whether you're on a mobile device or your computer, in the upper right hand corner, if you're on a computer, you're going to see a button that says Access Training. You can access some training for free, and you can see what's out there at a cost to see if that resonates with you. If you're on a mobile device, in the upper right hand corner, there'll be some bars. Hit those bars, other options will pop down. Look for Access Training.
Awesome. So if you want to get access to John Doolin, I did put his link in the chat so you can get access to it. It'll also be on the replay. John, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you for sharing your
Thank you
journey.
for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your journey so that you can be such a blessing to us. I know there are many people who have tuned in who have just found your story such a blessing and can help to set them free. And thank you to everyone else who tuned in today. We will not be having an episode tomorrow. I'm getting ready to go out of town. So our next episode will actually be next Thursday. Actually, no, I think we're coming back in March. So we're taking a break from the podcast and we will be coming back in March with new episodes. We will see you then.